Oh shit, what I do? 1, 2, 1, 2. My production assistant ain't shit. You see what he doing? We're gonna need to kill this music, man. This way? Yeah, you good. Montez, man. Let me welcome you to Over a Drink, brother. I know it's early, man.
I appreciate you, man.
So we brought, you said some mimosas and shit. You want more champagne and orange juice?
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
We're gonna splash it with the orange juice.
Gotcha.
Cheers,
and
brother.
then we toast, my brother.
Yes, salute.
Who is Montez?
Studio engineer, mixer, recorder, general music guy. Raised in Philadelphia music culture, you know, coming up as a rapper. And I moved through music maturely. I was in high school rapping, you know what I'm saying? And doing that type of thing. And then went to college and me and Court were roommates and he was my producer, he was my premiere and shit. Our friends were in the Roots and yeah, you know, we were running around with them rapping and doing that shit. So, you know, that's where it kind of started at. The Barge record that Biggie used. I'm in the crib listening to a tape, an R&B tape, and that break came on. I was like, yo, nobody ever used this. Oh shit! And I called Courtney up and shit. Like, yo, we need to hop on this joint. We used to hop on this joint. And Courtney, being the producer that he is, kind of, oh yeah, whatever. And it eventually, like 6 months later, the Biggie record comes out with it. And I'm like, yo, I was so frustrated out of that. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna have to learn how to make beats. There's such a distance from what you would do in your bedroom or in a small room to the radio sound. Like there was a process. The stuff that was, you know, on the radio was mixed in, you know, it's in $1 million facilities.
Correct.
And you know, it
so
didn't
get
sound
from your room to that clean
how
radio
to get to
ready.
That. I'm trying to figure that out.
When you hit that stride of, you know, record engineering and you brought you to where you are becoming what you are today.
Well,
what was the switch?
The switch was really the studio owner here at the time. His name's Larry Gold. He's a string arranger, cellist. He's worked legend. He worked on everything from, you know, Kanye to Brandy to a bunch of pop records. If you heard Justin Timberlake, if you heard any like flashing lights, the string arrangers for stuff like that, you know, that's Larry Gold. He was building a room, so like, yo, you want me to help me build the studio and shit? I began learning how to record and learn how to mix, and I began managing the studio, and it just became this thing where the same people that I had relationships with as a rapper and an artist coming up that way, those same relationships kind of fed into me recording.
When I first started doing these over drinks, my goal is to rap with the people behind, like rap with the artists behind the artist. No one really knows who those people are who are doing that work.
Well, you know what? The music is, the funny thing about music, especially coming from where I come from, that information was available because when you bought a record, a physical product, those players were in the sleeve. So you knew who wrote a record, you knew who was an engineer on the record.
But now they kind of disappeared.
Yeah, to a certain extent, it's disappeared because the information isn't readily available for you.
Well, it's not in your face. You gotta go.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta go look for it. You gotta go, you know, to
who produced this or who wrote this or who.
Or if you really want allmusic.com or anything like that's what I'm saying. Like my resume exists there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That gives me my legitimacy. My legitimacy is because my music. I don't have to tell anybody my resume. My resume, I just say go to Google and type my name in and it comes up for you.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And that is a difference between a professional and what others claim, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
So speaking of your resume, just a little list of some of the artists you've had the pleasure of working with.
Everyone from The Roots and Jill Scott and Marsha Ambrosius to, I just spent a year and a half with Lil Uzi. So, yeah.
Who was some of the classics? Like, did you meet somebody who you was like they came in a room and you couldn't believe you were in the room with them?
Very few times do I have those experiences. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because I look at it different. It's work.
I get it. I get it.
It's a job and shit. I just have the fortune. I have the fortune and the privilege of having a job where I get to be in places that most people wish they could be at. But I mean, there's been times that, my fan had us come on and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I said Terry Lewis was one time. That time, him coming into the room was crazy for me, like I said, because I'm expecting the Terry Lewis to walk in the room with the suit and the hat. You know what I'm saying? I'm expecting that guy. I'm like, yo, Janet Jackson, the time and all this Minneapolis stuff. I've got this going on in my head. And he come in, he got a sweatsuit on, and some, like dad Nikes and a guy.
Dad Nikes.
And so, a baseball cap. Like, yo, what the?
Like, you ain't Terry Lewis.
You ain't that. Get this proxy out of here. Who sent this avatar? So, but the information I got was crucial. And that was the big thing about it. For me, it was like, he really, at the time especially, he really made me comfortable as a professional. He just told me about his experiences, working with Janet and doing I asked him about, the Control albums and things like that. He said, man, at the time when they was recording that stuff, they had got all this new digital equipment. And they didn't know what they were doing with it. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, at the end of the day, he said, so they were recording all this stuff and this, that, and other thing, and it was distorted and all in the red and, whatever. They said he turned it over to the engineer, and the engineer's like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this? Like,
fix it.
Do what you do.
That's why you're the engineer.
Yeah, and it turned out to be what it is, these classic, timeless, multi-platinum albums, that, exist for us. And it made me more comfortable with, I guess, not having to deal with whatever people perceive as perfection in music. Like, most people get music in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Correct.
They don't get the break, they don't have the privilege of breaking it apart like we do.
Yes.
So, with that being said, they don't know how the fish was fried. I have this Forrest Gump existence in music because I'm always in these places that are, that people want to be at.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if I was sitting on a bus stop somewhere and I said, yo, I just got out of an elevator with Mariah Carey or something.
Blow people's minds.
Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But who cares? Like,
correct. And it's kind of the same with videographers, because we do the same thing. I've had this conversation with my wife. My wife is like, yo, Mike, man, I can't believe you don't have pictures of some of the people you've had the opportunity to meet. And I said, I've never looked at it like you look at it. I look at it like it's work. Right. So if I sat in a room, like I interviewed Dionne Warwick, I interviewed, a Jay-Z, I interviewed, a couple presidents. I've interviewed a couple, big country stars. And like, you meet these people, but I'm like, yo, man, I'm focused on the job. I'm not there on fanboy time. So so I don't think about, like, yo, can I get a picture with you?
Nowadays, because of the internet and things like that, that business line and that so it's you're expected to do that because it's supposed to enhance your business.
Correct.
And
it's hard to make that transition at this age, though.
As a grown man, it's hard to even think about it that way.
To say to another grown man, can I get a pic with you? It feels so corny and it feels so out of place, man.
You got the Obama picture and shit.
Well, that was different, man. It was first black president, man. I had to ask for that pic. I actually cut the interview short. It was like, yo, you got 7 minutes with Obama. I was like, listen, you got 3 minutes. No, I said the report, you got 4 minutes to ask your questions. Last 3 minutes, we taking pictures.
That's right.
Like, dude, we don't know what the next time we could be in the room with this dude.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You got to, yo.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I tend to not be that type of person.
It's weird, right?
It's very weird.
It's very uncomfortable, and then it's even weirder. Like I got a flick with Freeway one time, right? I was at the station, he came through and he did our morning show. And I'm a Freeway fan. I've always been a Freeway fan. I always thought he was one of the nicest MCs, right? I really liked him.
That's my dude.
But it was like, it took everything in me, man, to be like, yo, man, I gotta get this flick. I felt like such a sucker. I felt like, yo, if this dude play me, like, oh, man, like, it hurt.
Dude,
to ask.
Even coming from the artist perspective, like, there's been points in times where, I've been, walking down the street and somebody has jumped out of a car and said something like on some artist shit, and I'm like, what's going on? So I know how that feels to be weird. It's a weird feeling for somebody you don't know to come up to you and ask you for things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Oh, even if it's a picture.
I forgot where we left off, but that's all right.
You started drugs and hoes. You start the drugs and hoes portion of the conversation.
Drugs, all right.
Started that.
Yeah, we're gonna move into that. That's how we can close it off. You ever have an artist come in and you like this one, like you really think this guy is gonna be the one, and it just don't connect with the people outside the room?
I mean, the reason why records don't work is really weird, man. Like, all right, there used to be a gauge for it. You could kind of tell where something was coming from, if it was going to kind of make it, because there was an underground for it. Nowadays, the testing ground is YouTube. The testing ground is SoundCloud. Everybody's in. There's so much of it. And good or bad, like I've moved out of the space of good and bad. I've moved into the space of useful and not useful. Music is this weird emotional place and shit. There's nothing physical about music.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We, over the course of of what we know as music, and even beforehand, we've never actually bought music. This sounds like a really high conversation, or a drunk conversation, but we've never, music is fucking vibration in air. We can't grasp this shit. And at some point in time in human history, at one point in time, they figured out how to put it on a fucking piece of vinyl and make it so you can carry it.
So you can, yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the technology has always driven the business. That's what we've always bought. We've bought the technology of music. We bought all the music, all the money that's made, the hard money that's made in music is on two ends. It's on all the things you use to make the music, the keyboards, the software, the drums, or whatever that's saying, and then how you receive it. Everything else in the middle is subjective. Everything in the middle is subjective. So how you feel about a record, it changes. It could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? A good record can come from wherever. You know what I'm saying? The reason why it speaks to people is about time, place, all these other factors that you necessarily can't control. But at the end of the day, you're trying to find out this common ground between an artist. He's not thinking about it consciously, but he's trying to figure out a common ground between it all and present something
and
that means something. Where's this going to fit at amongst everything? Because it's just a thought at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is for everybody else to play with. You know what I'm saying? But useful and not useful are what are the games that I have to play as a studio guy and a business person in music, because I have to figure out if this can be placed in a movie, or if this can be used for a commercial, or if this can be used just in general use of somebody who will like it and just play it on a random. I always say that my place is like a sonic barber. Like, I don't know, black people, specifically black people. I don't know about anybody else, but I know for myself, I'm 47 years old. I've had 5 barbers my whole entire life. I think 6 my whole entire life. You don't just go to stop at a random barber shop and get your hair cut.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? With that being said, studio engineering works the same way, in the fact that, you know, a lot of times I'm gravitated to because of how I do what I do.
Montez, we're gonna end it on that, man. Because when this is all said and done, they're only 10 minutes long. We done talked for an hour at this point. So
that's cool.
We're gonna say his toast one more time, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. Salute.
Over a drink. That's how we do it, bro. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys, man.
Cool. Grab a quick flick for me. I know we just talked about how corny it is.
No.
Where you go? They recording.